If you love the idea of mindful eating and healthy living, join me, Izelle Hoffman, lifestyle chef, food editor, and author, as we explore ways of achieving health and balance. Exercise and movement shouldn't be seen as punishment, but rather as a celebration of what your body is capable of. Now, with that in mind, my guest this week is someone whose mission in life is rooted in empowering women to live life fearlessly through mindful movement. Kirsten Johnson's a former professional ballerina turned exercise specialist who is passionate about helping people develop a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. Welcome, Kirsten.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this. I feel like I'm so passionate about sharing what it is to be motivated and how you can actually maintain that throughout your week. So I'm so excited to dive into this.
Let's just actually then start right at the beginning, Kirsten. Now, what does mindful living mean to you, and where did your journey start?
So my journey began, I think, at a very, very young age. I was put into ballet classes and absolutely fell in love with it. Not only is it a beautiful art form, but it requires a lot of physical, activity. It was a great way for my mom to get my energy out. I think I was a very high energy child, and it just fit for me.
Well, that really explains your most exquisite legs. Ladies, when she walked into my studio today, I was like, oh my word, check at those calves. You've got the most gorgeous legs.
Thank you. No, I must say it really has been such a blessing to my life. It fit in so well with my lifestyle, with my family. My mum is an avid runner. She has run 20 Comrades Marathon. So when I say she's my biggest inspiration, she really is.
A moment of silence for your mum there.
She's incredible. My dad runs as well, and my brother plays tennis. So just kind of staying active was something that I don't think I ever had to think about as a child. We were just always active.
Now, can I ask you there, how important do you think that is for children growing up? I mean, there's always that saying, monkey see, monkey do. And I do feel, it makes such a big difference from a child's perspective if he or she is always active in the kitchen. And I'm referring from a mom or dad preparing breakfast, lunch or dinner. If you get the children involved, cooking is not a chore. And I'm pretty much sure that goes the same for
100%. I think, my mum was running before I even got up for school in the morning, and it wasn't a matter of, it was just something she did every morning. So when I eventually was put into a high performance training program for my dancing, waking up at 5 to get to training by 6 was not something I saw as, oh my goodness, I have to do this. It was, this is what we do. You get up, you show up for yourself first thing in the morning, and you move your body. It was just a natural part of our routine. And I must say, my parents being as active as they are was the biggest inspiration. And it's only now that I'm older and I'm having to motivate myself do I realize just how incredible it was to see them and to look up to them.
Now, tell us a bit, you clearly traveled a little bit around the world.
I did.
Keen to hear all about that.
I did. I was very, very grateful to have been able to travel around the world. Because of the training program I was in, we were homeschooled and therefore had a lot of opportunity to spend summers and winter programs in Belgium, in Amsterdam, at Juilliard in New York. They were, the places that I think every little girl dreams of. It was incredible. And through that, I then got offered a position to dance at a ballet company in Texas. So when I turned 16, I had finished my schoolwork and I moved to Texas by myself, packed up my bag and I moved. And looking back now, I think, how on earth did I do that? But I think it matured me a lot, and I think that it also got me in a situation where I now had to take care of myself. I'm 16 years old. I have to cook for myself. And thinking back, okay, what kind of meals was my mum preparing at home? What lifestyle was I used to, and how am I going to pull that into now my own life? I think you kind of recreate that when you move out of home and have to find those habits again.
Now, you say you moved into, you were living in Texas, but tell me, is it really true that when you moved to Texas, you buy the hat and the cowboy boots?
You come back, or at least I did. I arrived back with a Stetson and my cowboy boots. It was so much fun because it really is like the movies. We were at rodeos on the weekends, and it was something so different to what I was used to. I grew up in Joburg, just a completely different lifestyle. So I think it was also fun just to experience things at that age and be able to adapt and pick up on things that I enjoyed. And I wouldn't have traded it in for the world.
And tell me, I used to grow up loving that movie, this ballet movie where the lady ended up in this beautiful red outfit in
Center Stage. Yes.
The movie, yes. Center Stage,
I love that movie. No, it is. I think every little girl watched that movie and thought, I will be a dancer. And it's so great that there are movies like that you can look up to, because when the training gets hard, it's really nice to watch something like that. But that was also one of my favorites.
Now, Kirsten, time and health, I always believe, are one of the two most precious things in life, because you cannot buy those. And I always say you need to invest time in your health, because it's the best investment that you will ever make. And somehow I do believe this is sort of where your new app started to fill the gap. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So yes, I completely agree. I think that we can all relate to the last couple of years when COVID hit. I think our perception on health definitely changed. We were in smaller, more confined spaces, weren't able to get to the gym. And I mean, the list of excuses can just extend so far. And it was during COVID that I had to change my training style. I had resigned my contract with Cape Town City Ballet just a year before. I was working then as a personal trainer. I'd studied exercise science. So I was training one-on-one with my clients in person, physically there, just like I used to be with dancing, that in-person training. And I was now being shifted onto Zoom, which at first I thought, oh no, there's no way. It definitely challenged the way that
the whole world moved on to Zoom.
100%. And I mean, I think a lot of us were like, we don't want to go that way. But at the end of the day, we ended up having to. And not only did it challenge me as a trainer in how I explain exercises and get a client to actually understand their body without me physically adjusting them, it was just a really good opportunity for me to think, okay, how can I use my platform, my experience to help other people? Because, I mean, that at the end of the day is what I was doing. I was just at that stage doing it one-on-one. During COVID, I started something called the Morning Motivation Program. And it was just as simple as live workouts on my Instagram. I think there were 15 minutes every single morning for 3 weeks.
I love that. Anyone can commit to 15 minutes,
15
right?
15 minutes. And I tried to make it as easy to adapt regardless of what season of your life you were in, whether you were in high school or whether, you have never exercised before in your life. This was a great way to start. 15 minutes. If you can commit to something as small as 15 minutes, you're more likely to show up for it. So that was
100%.
Yeah, that was basically where COVID brought me, and I must say I am so grateful for it, because I think it shifted a lot of our perspectives.
I'm a firm believer that if you link your passion with your paycheck, that you will never work a day in your life. You can agree with me on that.
I can 100% agree with that. I think I definitely count myself extremely lucky to be able to wake up every morning excited to do what I do. I don't think everyone in the world has the privilege of having that feeling, and I just get so much joy out of helping, other people move their bodies, seeing my clients become more confident in their bodies, seeing my clients feel more confident in maybe, the items of clothing that they choose, whatever it may be. So 100% so grateful that I went from, ballet, where I was passionate about my art form, into my personal training, where I'm just as passionate about moving. And again, like I said, I'm a very high energy person. And I think you probably need to be in this industry, but I wake up with a lot of energy and able to kind of give that to other people.
Well, talking about, energy and things like that, do you think your nutrition and what you eat contributes to that? Because often a lot of people say, no, it's in her genes. She was just born like that. She's full of energy. But I do believe there's so many different foods and things out there that actually drains your energy or makes you feel fatigued and tired.
100%. When I was dancing, I definitely needed, a higher calorie diet, let's call it that, because the energy expenditure was just obscene. And when I stopped dancing, that was really the moment where I had to think, okay, now I need to be a lot more intentional that I'm eating for my lifestyle now and no longer eating for my lifestyle that I used to have. So at that stage, I decided to take on a plant-based diet. That was for multiple medical reasons. And I do believe that everybody's body is different and you should eat according to how you feel, and intuitive eating is obviously also so important, and making sure that I have, let's say, carbohydrates when I need them, protein when I need them, and just understanding how your body reacts to specific foods is number one for me. I think that the minute you can be so in tune with your body, oh, that doesn't make me feel good. Oh, that made me feel good. Oh, I was able to go for a little bit longer. Or, understanding that is the first step to making sure that you're eating for your body and not against your body.
I love what you said there, for your body, because we tend as individuals to always compare ourselves to others. We for instance, look at our role models and we think, oh, he or she is eating a certain way. That is definitely going to work for me.
That's the key. Yeah.
But we all have different fingerprints. Surely our DNA is also different, which means we have different lifestyles, different things that stress us out, different things that we crave during the day, different times of the month. And one of my recipes is then, of course, our cannellini bean salad with a caramel chili lime dressing.
This recipe honestly makes my mouth water. It is just incredible. And I think something like this is a great example of cooking healthy doesn't have to be so difficult, doesn't have to be so hard.
And it also doesn't have to be boring, people.
Exactly. It's just a matter of combining fresh, beautiful, nutritious ingredients. And like you said, preparing it. I couldn't agree more, especially with this, this hustle mentality that I think a lot of us follow. Making sure that something as important as your nutrition is structured for the week. Okay, this is what I'm eating. I've made enough for 2 days, 3 days. A lot of these recipes just get better with time. And
They do. And another, I love calling it building blocks that I always have in my fridge at home. I love quinoa. Quinoa for me is the complete plant-based protein, but as someone like myself that is in fact not vegetarian or plant-based, I do consume it as the grain on my plate.
Yes.
If I'm trying to sort of have a balanced plate of food with not too many carbohydrates, because I love my sweet potato, my butternut, my carbohydrates in vegetable form. So when it comes to my grains, I love going to quinoa. It is called the perfect plant-based protein because it contains all 9 essential amino acids found in meat that your body does need for muscle structure and those beautiful calves you've got.
And that and just the fact that quinoa is something that is a lot easier on your gut to digest.
Yes.
It's being able to distinguish what it is that makes you feel good after you eat it. Something like quinoa, I think, can obviously be put into so many different forms, especially nowadays. I think people do so many things with it.
It's so versatile. You can add it to a salad. You can keep it by itself. You can add something to it. You can sprinkle it on top of something else. I mean, the world is your oyster, people.
Yeah.
Like, make quinoa your own.
Yeah, and like you said, it's one of those staples. I think if you open up your pantry and the things that are there are all staples that you know are going to add, value to your nutrition profile, that is fantastic. And it's one of those things you can just have in a big jar in the pantry and grab it whenever.
Yes, and you get the multicolored one, you get the white one. I love adding turmeric with ground black pepper to my
nice.
normal white. Then you also get the red one. I do find it a little bit chewy, so I often cook it slightly longer than the instructions on the packet or on the box. But yes, it just adds that wow factor. And whenever for people, for instance, I've got a beautiful grilled mushroom recipe in this book. So the topping is usually your sun-dried tomato with moist biltong that you caramelize. But for my plant-based customers or people coming over maybe for a lunch or a dinner, I love serving that as like a starter. And then I just replace the biltong with red quinoa because presentation is always key, and you need to
your proteins there.
And the proteins there. But back to all our questions, because I still have so many that I want to ask. I believe that exercise should not be seen as punishment, but rather a celebration of what your body is capable of. Now, a little bit of your thoughts on that, and then, of course, how you link that to your app.
Well, I could not agree with that more. I think that it's so easy to, like you said earlier, compare yourself to people around you. Look at someone else, think, oh, I wish I had that, or I wish I could do that, or I wish I looked like that. And being able to actually see exercise as a celebration, like you said, of what your body is capable of doing, or being able to adjust your workout program because maybe you're unable to do something specific, but you can do something else. So when I created the Find Balance Kindly app, I really wanted to create something that made people excited to move, that they couldn't wait to press play. When we were designing the app, like from a visual perspective, we were really trying to pick up on something that felt like 5 minutes of a holiday. If you're going to click on that app and it opens up, you think, oh, this is like a breath of fresh air. So the Find Balance Kindly app was really born out of my experience getting COVID, not just during COVID, the pandemic, but when I fell sick with COVID in 2021, I was extremely sick. And for the first time in my life, I was a beginner again. My heart and my lungs were compromised. I was in and out of testing, in and out of hospital, trying to figure out what was going on. And as I'm sure you can imagine, you spend a lot of time just lying on your back, trying to figure out how on earth am I going to get back to where I was before this happened?
Especially coming from your very active, high-performing lifestyle. So how do we get this phenomenal app of yours actually on a device?
So you can download it on the iOS store as well as the Google Play Store. So you can just download it. You can either type in Find Balance Kindly, but we've also put the abbreviation FBK, which as you can see also falls into the Fitness by Kirsten. So it's the same FBK. And the whole name behind Find Balance Kindly, I think, it was a good reminder to me. It was something I constantly reminded myself that finding balance doesn't mean hustling hard and having to break your back to find a routine. No, you can be kind to yourself. Find a balance. If something doesn't work, change it. Be kind to the way you speak to yourself. Be kind to the way you look at your routine and you look at your balance in your life. And it looks different for everybody. So I think that was where, we really wanted to hit the nail on the head with the name.
So it is all about quality, not necessarily quantity, right?
Exactly. And I think that was when I was, lying there thinking, how on earth am I going to get back to where I was? I started realizing that exercise for me was more about my mental health than it was about my physical. And yes, your physical health is a really, really important aspect of it. You creating, lean muscle mass, which is incredibly important with your structure. But I noticed that just that 15 minutes, putting that aside and doing that for myself, showing up for myself, I've proved to myself that I care about myself.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And if you want to be the best version of yourself for the people you surround yourself with, you need to look after yourself first.
Yeah, show up for yourself before you show up for others.
Yes. We briefly spoke about, relationships with food and how important that is.
I think that is incredibly important because I truly believe that you cannot out-train a bad diet. If you're eating a bad diet, but you're spending 5 hours in the gym every day, you can't try and trick yourself into thinking that that's healthy, right? Yes. What you put into your body is fuel, just like you'll put the best quality fuel into your car because you want to take care of it. It's something that's special and valuable to you. So seeing your body like that and fueling yourself with things that are going to help you, like I said, that work for you and not against you. And for instance, that for me meant going plant-based, and that my whole family is not plant-based. I'm not saying that is, the be-all and end-all. It's about figuring out what works best for you, how you feel your best, and how your body is just able to do whatever it is that you're required to do throughout your day. So, I believe very, very strongly in intuitive eating as well. Listening, thinking before you just open the fridge and grab something. Think, okay, what is it that I'm actually needing? What's actually going to satisfy me?
Yes, or often, I agree with you 100%. It's like, but what are you actually craving?
Yeah.
Are you bored? And that's why you walk into the fridge, first of all. And
guilty
I always
as
say,
charged,
do
COVID.
the apple test.
Yeah.
I even tend to say to kids as well, they're like, no, we're hungry or we want a snack. And I'm like, eat an apple. No, we don't want that. And then I'm like, then you're not really hungry, are you?
Yeah, my mom would always say that to me as well. And also just like you said earlier, preparing those meals so that on those moments where, yes, okay, I'm feeling very hungry. Maybe you have come back from a gym. Maybe you do need a little bit more energy to get through your day. Making sure that what it is that you're reaching for is something that is beautiful ingredients, that it's fresh, that it's healthy, and then it's going to help you and not just drop you off in a downward spiral of sugar 2 hours from now. So
it's like I just listen to a lot of children out there today. There's so many children on things like Ritalin and all these kind of medications out there, and I'm sure there's a time and a place for it, don't get me wrong, but I do feel a lot of children are really just feeling themselves on an overload of sugar, and then next moment they need to take something like that to calm them down. I mean, everything in moderation is always key.
I think that's the exact same, for instance, for me with movement, is if you do 15 minutes of intentional movement, of like mindful movement, let's call it, over an hour of just kind of whacking, your limbs around at the gym, trying to break a sweat, or if you just apply intention to every aspect of your life, I feel like that is when you really achieve a healthy lifestyle. It's not about switching off and just doing what everyone says you must do. It's about thinking, what muscle is working when I do that? What muscle is working when I do that? And that's something that I tried my best to do with my app, is when I teach, I try and not just teach you and tell you what to do, but actually educate you so that you can go and do this by yourself. Or maybe you're on a walk and you think, oh, could I engage, my transverse abdominal muscles? Can I lift up my pelvic floor just a little bit more? Find your core, find that balance. It's small things like that, just that intention, that mindfulness, pulling it through in every single aspect of your life.
I absolutely love that. And I think you must keep doing what you're doing. You're a huge motivation to me. I think you're very inspirational. And thank you so much for making the time.
No,
it's a little bit more than 15 minutes that you put aside for me today. And I'm forever grateful. And I do think people should go and have a look at your app. I also had a little bit of a sneak peek last night, and I see there's a 14-day free trial.
Yes.
I love that, because often people think, should I, shouldn't I, is this for me, isn't it for me? And I think you're giving a nice or big enough window there for people to give it a try. They've got absolutely nothing to lose. They can, in fact, only gain from it.
Yeah.
And is it for women only? Can men join? Is it for everyone? Is it for all age groups? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think it's definitely for every season of your life, and that's what I've tried to create. I've tried to incorporate whether you think of yourself as a beginner, an intermediate, advanced. I try to break that wall down and think, okay, how much energy are you willing to give today? So we do have a little system on each video. There'll be sweat drops next to the video. If there are 3 sweat drops, it means it's intense. If there are 2 sweat drops, it's moderate. And if there's 1, it just means it's a nice, slow, gentle movement of your body. So
I love that. So on days where you already did your hair and your makeup and you're almost
find
out
one
the door.
Sweat drop. One sweat drop.
Find one sweat drop, ladies. What is your excuse? Kirsten's got your back with this one.
And we've got a yoga instructor who does yoga on the app, which obviously I'm not qualified to do, but I did source who I thought was the best to do each of these things. And both the yoga instructor and the Pilates instructor, his name is Tom, and the yoga instructor is Gemma. Both of them were ballet dancers as well. So I tried to bring in people that I feel had a similar background to me, had a similar appreciation for movement that I did. We also have a in-house dietitian, Stephanie Rouliard. She has been incredible. She's worked with many of my clients personally and also gives just a lot of good tips, things that you would assume people should just know, but when you hear it come from someone, a dietitian's mouth, you think, oh wow, I can apply that to my daily life. So just, whether it's recipes, articles, little vlogs here and there, we're just trying to make it a space where people can find balance in their life in a kind way.
Well, I absolutely love that. This is definitely an app worth downloading. And as author and motivational speaker Jim Rohn once said, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. From my side, my name is Izelle Hoffman. Till next time, goodbye.
I'm Izelle Hoffman. Thanks for joining me as we journey towards mindful living. Find more at jacarandafm.com. Click on Jackpot.